Millions of Americans have reached into a jar of old pocket change and pulled out a coin that instantly feels like a piece of history. The Lincoln wheat cent, with its iconic stalks of Durham wheat framing the reverse, is perhaps the most beloved and widely recognized classic United States coin. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, Victor David Brenner's design transformed American numismatics by placing a genuine historical figure on a regular circulating coin for the very first time. By the time the mid-20th century arrived, the wheat penny was an inseparable part of American commerce, passing through cash registers during a period of unprecedented national growth. Yet, among the billions of pennies struck during the series' final decade, certain examples from the Denver Mint have quietly captured the attention of advanced collectors. At first glance, a circulated wheat penny from the 1950s might seem like a common childhood souvenir, worth only a few cents above its face value. However, experienced numismatists recognize that the true story of these coins is told not by their age, but by their preservation, originality, and the remarkable manufacturing circumstances that brought them into existence. The difference between a common circulated find and a condition rarity can mean a difference of thousands of dollars in the collector marketplace. Understanding why a flawless, certified example commands such respect requires looking closely at the specific years they were produced, the challenges faced by the mint, and the unforgiving reality of time that inevitably wears away copper surfaces. Today, we are undertaking a detailed examination of three specific Denver Mint issues from the twilight of the wheat cent era. By stripping away the internet rumors and focusing strictly on historical context, verified grading standards, and authenticated market evidence, you will discover exactly what separates an ordinary survivor from an elite numismatic treasure. 1950 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. The year 1950 marked a definitive turning point for the United States. The nation had fully transitioned from the sacrifices of World War II into an era of booming post-war prosperity. Suburban neighborhoods were expanding, new automobiles filled the highways, and the American economy required an immense and steady supply of coinage to support rapid commercial growth. Tasked with meeting this demand, the Denver Mint, located in the heart of Colorado and identified by the small D mint mark positioned just below the date on the obverse, began producing Lincoln wheat cents at a staggering pace. By the end of the year, the Denver facility had struck over 334 million of these copper coins. They were composed of the traditional bronze alloy that had been reinstated following the wartime steel cents and shell-cased bronze issues, consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a standard weight of 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Because of this massive production figure, the 1950 D Lincoln cent is considered an incredibly common coin in circulated grades. Millions were saved by the public, tucked away in childhood coin folders, or tossed into jars where they acquired the dark brown patina, scratches, and contact marks characteristic of everyday use. For the advanced collector, however, mintage numbers only tell a fraction of the story. The true numismatic pursuit lies in finding this coin in an exceptional state of preservation. The Denver Mint during this era was known for pushing its dies to the absolute limit. High-speed manufacturing often resulted in late-stage die wear, causing softer details in Lincoln's hair, his beard, and the intricate parallel lines of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Finding a 1950 D that features a hammer-like, fully defined strike across all high points is a significant challenge. Professional third-party grading services evaluate these surviving coins on the Sheldon numerical scale, but they also assign a critical color designation: brown, red-brown, or full red. Copper is a highly reactive metal, and preserving its original blazing factory color for more than 7 decades requires near-perfect environmental conditions. A certified Mint State 67 full red example represents an extreme rarity in the modern marketplace. These elite survivors often escape circulation immediately, spending decades housed in original bankrolls untouched by human hands or atmospheric moisture. When registries set competitors vie for these top-tier specimens, auction results can easily exceed $1,500 to $2,500, depending on eye appeal and certified population reports. Beyond exceptional condition, Specialists also carefully examined the 1950D for genuine mint errors and die varieties, most notably repunched mint marks. Because the D was still punched into the working dies by hand during this era, workers occasionally struck the punch more than once in slightly different positions, leaving a secondary impression visible under magnification. While minor repunched mint marks are relatively common and carry small premiums, dramatic and widely separated secondary punches can attract dedicated variety collectors. However, seasoned numismatists heavily caution against confusing post-mint damage, environmental corrosion, or mechanical machine doubling with genuine valuable errors. Authentication by a trusted grading authority remains the only reliable method to confirm a significant variety, protecting buyers from artificially altered or misrepresented coins. 1951 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. As the calendar turned to 1951, the United States found itself entering the Korean War, an event that once again shifted the nation's economic priorities and industrial focus. Despite the international conflict, the domestic economy continued its rapid expansion, and the demand for circulating currency reached unprecedented levels. The Denver Mint responded by increasing its output dramatically, striking over 625 million Lincoln wheat cents that year, nearly double the production of the previous year. This immense mintage figure cemented the 1951 D as one of the most readily available dates in the entire Lincoln cent series. Anyone searching through a canvas bag of unsorted wheat pennies is almost guaranteed to encounter several examples bearing the 1951 date and the distinctive D mint mark. They carry the exact same 95% copper composition and standard 3.11 gram weight as their predecessors, functioning flawlessly in the nation's vending machines and cash registers. Yet, this staggering abundance is precisely what makes the 1951 D such a fascinating study in numismatic rarity. While a heavily worn brown example is worth no more than a few cents, the sheer volume of coins produced meant that quality control inevitably suffered on the mint floor. Dies clashed, cracked, and degraded under the immense pressure of continuous striking. Consequently, a vast majority of the 1951 D cents that emerged from the presses were plagued by weak strikes, resulting in mushy details on Lincoln's portrait and flattened wheat ears on the reverse, even before they ever saw circulation. Finding a brilliant, uncirculated piece is not particularly difficult, but finding one that combines a razor-sharp strike with flawless, untouched surfaces and vibrant original red luster is a monumental task. The finest known examples are often the result of meticulous searching through original unsearched bankrolls that were put away at the time of issue and stored in optimal climate-controlled environments. When third-party grading services evaluate the 1951 D, they look meticulously for distracting carbon spots, copper spots, or fingerprint toning, all of which are common afflictions for this date and can immediately preclude a coin from reaching the coveted gem grades of Mint State 66 or Mint State 67. A pristine, authenticated Mint State 67 red example is highly prized by registry set collectors attempting to build the finest possible collection of Denver Mint wheat cents. Depending on the exact eye appeal and the fluidity of the market, such an elite piece can command anywhere from $1,200 to over $2,000 at a major auction. This vast gulf in value between a circulated coin and a condition census rarity underscores the fundamental rule of modern numismatics. Condition dictates value far more than the date printed on the coin. Error collectors also dedicate time to studying the 1951 D under magnification. Just as with the previous year, hand-punched mint marks led to various repunched mint mark varieties. Additionally, the immense die stress created numerous die cracks, commonly referred to as BIE errors, when a small chip of metal breaks off the die between the letters B and E in the word liberty. While these die chips are charming and historically interesting, they were quite common during the 1950s and generally only bring a minor premium. Spectacular errors, such as a coin struck wildly off-center or struck on a defective planche, are much rarer and require professional authentication to separate them from the myriad of damaged coins peddled in online marketplaces. For the dedicated collector, the 1951 D serves as a perfect reminder that within a sea of hundreds of millions of ordinary coins, a handful of masterpieces still exist, waiting to be identified and preserved. 1958, D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. The year 1958 holds a deeply sentimental place in the hearts of American numismatists. It marked the absolute end of an era, serving as the final year that Victor David Brenner's iconic wheat stalks would appear on the reverse of the Lincoln cent. The following year, the United States Mint would introduce the new Lincoln Memorial reverse to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, permanently closing the book on a design that had defined American pocket change for exactly 50 years. Knowing that the design was coming to an end, the public naturally took an interest in the 1958 issues, hoarding them in massive quantities. The Denver Mint produced an astonishing 800 million Lincoln wheat cents that year, wrapping up the series with one of the highest mintage figures in the history of the bronze cent. Because so many people actively saved these coins, uncirculated rolls of 1958 D pennies remain incredibly plentiful today. You can routinely find brilliant, uncirculated examples at local coin shows or online auctions for a very modest price. However, this widespread saving created a unique paradox within the collector market. Because uncirculated 1958 D cents are so common, the standards applied by professional grading services are incredibly unforgiving. To stand out and achieve a grade that warrants a significant premium, a 1958 D must be absolutely spectacular. It must possess a flawless, booming red luster that rolls smoothly across the surfaces without a single break. It must be free of the microscopic bag marks, nicks, and carbon spotting that plague nearly all surviving rolls. Most importantly, it must display a bold, fully detailed strike from fresh dies, a characteristic that is frustratingly rare for this date due to the Denver Mint's relentless high-volume production schedule that year. The dies were often pushed far beyond their optimal lifespan, resulting in coins that, while technically uncirculated, look soft and visually unappealing. When an example manages to survive with zero imperfections and earns an elusive Mint State 67 Plus Red or Mint State 68 Red designation, it transforms from a common hoarded souvenir into a fierce battleground for registry set collectors. These ultra-grade survivors represent the absolute pinnacle of the series' final year and have been known to realize extraordinary auction prices, sometimes exceeding $3,000 to $5,000 when the eye appeal is truly phenomenal, and multiple bidders refuse to back down. As specialists study the 1958 D, they also remain vigilant for die varieties. Though major, widely recognized errors for this specific date and mint are relatively scarce compared to the famous double dies of other years. Minor repunched mint marks do exist, alongside various die chips and minor laminations. But experienced buyers remain highly skeptical of sensationalized error claims. The numismatic community relies heavily on established reference material and third-party authentication to verify any alleged error, knowing that post-mint alterations and machine doubling have tricked countless novice collectors. For anyone fortunate enough to own a beautifully preserved 1958 D or any high-grade copper coin from this era, proper preservation is paramount. Copper must be protected from environmental contaminants. Storing these coins in archival quality, inert holders, away from high humidity, fluctuating temperatures, and the destructive oils of human skin is the only way to ensure their blazing red surfaces survive for future generations to appreciate. Ultimately, the 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is far more than just the final chapter of a beloved coin design. It is a testament to the complexities of numismatics, proving that even when a coin is minted by the hundreds of millions and saved by the thousands, true perfection remains an incredibly rare and highly sought-after prize.